Hey everyone, welcome to my weekly grief vlog. I am behind. I have not been on, I think, in close to 3 weeks because I did week one. So this one, I'm going to cover weeks 2 through 4. And it's going to be a grief vlog, but I also want to talk about things that God has been giving me. So the reason I haven't been on is I've been busy, and it seems like when I would be in a place where I was vulnerable and wanting to share and able to share, I couldn't. So I was at work or I was driving, and then when I would get home and could, I forgot what I wanted to say. So I have notes so that I don't do that anymore. I have been taking notes on where I'm at. So overall, I think I am better than I think I ever thought I could be in this situation. I never thought that I would survive losing my only child. I still have my moments and I allow myself to have them. But one thing that I've noticed is, I returned back to work, I think 3 weeks ago. And I returned back to work 3 weeks ago. I'm going to repeat myself because it said it stopped, so I'm not sure what it captured. But since I returned back to work, I have just been struggling with balance. So before everything happened, obviously, yeah, it was easy to have balance. But since then, just struggling with balance, still handling Gavin's affairs, work, grief, life, fitness, social life, diet, health, everything. Um, and so I feel myself being overwhelmed. I feel myself being like late all the time. I feel like it takes me forever to do things. So, one thing that I have realized about myself, and I already knew, but I had kind of gotten away from throughout this process, is that I am a person of routine. So, I strive through routines. So I have to have routines, I have to have structure. So I put myself back on a schedule. I've gotten my structure back, my routines back. And one thing that I know I need to do is make that intentional time to sit down and journal. I have a journal, a grief journal for the loss of a child. I'm reading a book called, I think, The Suicide Club. And those things were helping me when I was doing them. But then I got back to work, and my personal care and well being, my self care got put on the back burner. And so I am in that place of finding balance again and creating those routines again just because it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. It is okay if it doesn't work for you. But for me, I know that it works for me. And having that structure, forcing myself to sit down and write in that journal, forces me to walk through my grief process. It forces me to get through the things that I need to get through because um, without that, I don't. And then it's just like if I'm driving somewhere, that is when it'll hit me, and it's like, oh, you can't cry now. Or if I'm at work, it hit me, and it's like, you can't cry now. Um, and so it's those quiet, still moments. So rather than push it to the side and suppress it and not acknowledge it, I have learned to carve out time, or I'm learning to carve out time in my day to allow myself to have those quiet moments and sit in my thoughts, my emotions, my grief, whether it is good or bad. Because sometimes it's happy thoughts, it's good. Sometimes it's sadness, but whatever it is, making sure that I allow myself to do that. I am still dealing with and struggling with the first time seeing people since it's happened. So, seen a lot of people, had my family reunion this weekend. Many of my relatives came to the services, but some could not. And so, a lot of people I was seeing for the first time, either since the funeral or the first time since it happened. So, I was worried about that being awkward. There were a couple awkward moments, but for the most part, you know, it was normal, and that was good. Work, I had a meeting yesterday, and I had to see a lot of colleagues that I have not seen since it happened, and so that just felt super awkward initially. And so it's just that initial awkwardness. People don't know what to say. And so I will tell you, I don't know if I've said this before. If someone is walking through grief and you don't know what to say, you don't know what to do, it is okay to say, I don't know what to say. What do you need? Um, how can I support you in this process? Because grief looks different for everybody. Like for me, the constant daily how are you doing don't help me. As I said in my last video, that doesn't help me. If that's not the relationship we had before my son died and you're only doing it because he died, even though your intentions are good, it doesn't help me because it's a reminder to me that he's no longer here. For someone else, that may be very helpful. So everyone's grief process, everyone's grief journey is okay. It's different and it's okay. And I want you to know that if your grief journey looks different than mine, that's fine. Like we're different people. We have different needs and that is okay. So that is something that I am learning to be intentional with my stillness. I'm looking at my notes to make sure I cover everything. Another thing that I have learned in this season, I think I'm doing a decent job of, is protecting my peace. Like God gave me a peace that did surpass all understanding when I lost Gavin. But then after the funeral, and I think, he did this. He gave me the strength to get through that funeral, to do that eulogy and all of that. But then it's human. I still have to grieve. So then the grief came. But what I discovered is you can hurt and have pain and still have peace. So even though I still don't have full understanding, even though I still have pain, I do still have peace. And that almost seems like an oxymoron to me. Like those two things should not be able to go together. And I can't explain the how or the why, but I can say that I do have peace, even though I do still hurt and I have pain. But I also protect that peace. And so, they say death can bring out the worst in people and it can make things crazy. Fortunately for me, that was not the case. Like my family's been super supportive. My friends have been super supportive. But there are a few people, and when I say few, I do mean very few, but there are a few people that have came to support, and some of them say support, because some of them I don't even believe you're here to support. And it has not been positive for me. It has not protected my peace. So what I have learned to do is to remove those people from my space. So I blocked them. One is a family member, my family member, my blood, and just don't appreciate how she tried to turn my son's death into an opportunity so she could shine. So yeah, done. Another one, the other ones are his family on his father's side, and not all of them, but these particular people they didn't have a relationship with him. They have not seen him in 6 years, and the only reason why they saw him then was because he was at one of their other grandchildren's graduation, and they've always treated them better. And that's not a knock against them, because I love those two little girls. They're my niece. I love them. My son was close to them, but the reality is they were treated far different than my son was. And so they started, certain family members, they started texting me every day, Bible verses and stuff like that. And at first I was like, well, you can't be mad at nobody for texting your scripture, and you're wrong and you're in your feelings. And I'm looking, coming down on myself. But then I had to realize, no, I don't want a relationship with these people. I did not have a relationship with these people because of how they treated my son when he was alive. I had already blocked them on social media and did not talk to them at all. I didn't even have their numbers in my phone. So when they reached out when everything initially happened, I didn't even have their phone numbers. So if I don't want to be bothered with them now, then I don't have to, because I feel like at the end of the day, you're trying to console me and you're trying to come around to make your guilty conscience feel better, because the reality is you were not there for him. You didn't have to be there for me. I was never married to his father, so I was never family, but he was. So you chose not to be there for him, and now I choose not to let you be here for me. And so those are some examples of me protecting my peace. And I don't have ill will towards them. I forgiven them already. They've never asked for forgiveness. I've already forgiven them because forgiveness is not for them. Forgiveness is for me because that's what God tells us to do. So I have to forgive for myself. It has, whether they ask for forgiveness or not, I'm going to forgive you because that's what God has commanded me to do. And I am striving to be the best Christian I can and be obedient to his word. But what I've discovered is forgiveness does not mean relationship. And what that means is I can forgive you and not have a relationship with you. There's a saying that you can love someone from afar. I can love you, but I don't have to have a relationship with you. And so I've done that so that I can guard my peace. Throughout these last few weeks, I ended up going to the cemetery. I didn't plan on it. My nephew, who I've been estranged from for years, through, no fault of anybody, of his or mine. But he found out what happened, and it was almost a month to the date that he found out, and he felt so bad because he wanted to be here for the funeral. And he drove, him and his fiance and their children, they drove from Indiana, like 11 hours to the cemetery so that he could, say goodbye. And I drove home to Cartersville, and because that's where my son is buried, and I met them up there. And so it was amazing to see him and talk to him and his family. But it was tough. It was tough to see the grave. And I don't think it's because it was a grave. I think it was because it's still an unmarked grave. You gotta wait before you can get the headstone so that the ground can settle, and they had the sprinklers set up and they were watering the grass. And it was because it was so fresh and new. And then it was almost at that 1 month anniversary. It was like the day after a month. That really got me. It really got me. And then last week I went and packed up his apartment, like his personal effects, the furniture and everything, or Kiara's and Caleb's, but his clothes and his personal effects. And, my niece and my godbabies came down and they helped do it. And, most of them could all find something that they could wear, and they were super close together. So that was great for them. I don't know why I didn't bring tissue, y'all. I'm so sorry. This is so disgusting, but I didn't bring tissue. So, because I didn't plan on crying. So I will be getting in the shower after this, I promise. But I'm not just gonna use my hand. But it's one of those things, like when I saw my nephew, that is a positive and a negative. It was so amazing seeing him and so positive, but it was hard. And still thinking about it, it's hard to look at that patch of grass and know my baby's in there. And so packing up his apartment was hard because even though I know he's gone, it's just kind of like that final step of he's gone, So that was difficult. And I'm so tired of crying. I mean, some days are good, some days not so much. And I know today I'm super emotional, but I promised myself I was going to do this video today because I've been saying it every day. I've been putting it off, and I was like, I'm going to do it today. And then my period came on. So my hormones are like ridiculous. So that is not helping with my emotional state right now, but that is okay. And so the last thing that I think I'm going to share, unless the Holy Spirit gives me something else, is God dealt with me about only trusting when it's comfortable. And I think, sometimes we say we trust God, we say we surrender to God, we say we're submitted to God, but we only do it when it's easy. And, when Gavin died and God revealed to me that I was going to do his eulogy, that most definitely was not easy. So that was a time of me trusting and surrendering. But then there are other times in life where we don't do it. And so what happened is I have always said I wanted another child. Like I never wanted just one child, but I promised myself when I was having Gavin, like in labor, um, and his father wasn't there, and my whole family was there, and my two best friends were there, and the room was just packed, but his father wasn't there, and I felt so alone in that moment, even with all those people in the room. And I promised myself I would never do that again, that I would never have another child out of wedlock because of that loneliness that I felt. And as he grew up and his father would be there, his father was supposed to come and he didn't, and all of these things. And I saw the hurt and the pain that he went through. And, even when things were good between his father and I, and we were, doing good with custody, and 1 week on and 1 week off, and he has him 1 week and I have him the next, but that's still hard for a child to bounce from home to home. And so I promised myself I just wouldn't do that to another kid, and I wouldn't have another child out of wedlock. And so at 42, I sit here single, unmarried, no boyfriend, not engaged, choice D, none of the above. I'm dating one person, but it's still really new, and I don't know where that's going to go. But I knew I wanted another child, and when this happened with Gavin, I just came to the resolution that by the end of this year, if I'm not in a serious relationship, I'm getting artificially inseminated. I can afford it. I make good money. I can get a nanny. I'm going to do this by myself because my clock is ticking. I've been waiting on this husband that has not came, and time is not on my side to have another child biologically. I feel that I've heard God on multiple occasions, not just recently, but over the years, tell me I will have another child. And so in that moment, one morning, as I was going through and getting ready to look at sperm banks, God convicted me so hard. And sometimes, he'll get us real hard. And he told me to stop being like Sarah. And when he said it, I heard Sarah, but in my mind, I saw Sarah before her name changed. And I'm horrible at spelling, but like the Saria or something like that, before her name changed to Sarah. And I saw that. And so it took me back to Abraham and Sarah and how old they were when they became parents, and how God had made them this promise, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen, and it didn't happen. And so then Sarah took it upon herself to present Hagar to Abraham. And that created a whole nother issue because now she's jealous because Hagar got pregnant and had this baby. And then their child is feeling like he's not as good because she's being mean to him. And they were even sent away at one point. And so God just showed me that even though it's difficult, even though every time I go to the doctor, I have to listen to them tell me, you don't have all this time and you don't know and you need to do something. I have to trust God. And he promised me a husband. He promised me another child, and another biological child at that. And so whenever it happens, however it happens, I have to trust him. Even though it's uncomfortable, even though statistically the statistics are going down, I can't be Sarah. God made me to be hope, and he has told me time and time again to trust his word, trust his promises, and obey his word. And so that's what I have to do. So that is where I am in my grief journey. This is my day, y'all. This is what I do every day. I go from happy to crying to sad to happy again. It is like, it's an emotional roller coaster, but it is a roller coaster that I am surviving. I can say, even though I feel like every time I get on camera, I'm crying more than I'm smiling, I can say my good moments far outweigh my bad. My happy moments far outweigh my bad. I think I cry when I'm on here because I really do have to go through the emotions and everything. And I think that's why I thank you, Ryan. I think that's why I have avoided doing this for 3 weeks, because I don't want to, do this. But the Monday before Gavin died, he died on a Saturday. God told me, let people see you walk through your dry season in real time. So I knew this season was coming. I did not know it was going to be losing Gavin, but I knew this season was coming. And so I'm going to let you see me walk through this dry season, this hurtful season, this painful season, this broken season in real time, because as broken as I am still a servant of Jesus Christ. I am still a servant in his kingdom. I'm still sold out for God. I still am thankful and grateful that he chose me. I am thankful and grateful for my big brother Jesus. So even through the tears, I am a proud Christian and servant of Christ. So this is me walking through it in real time. I promise it will not take 3 weeks. I will be back next week. I love you all. Keep praying. This is my grief journey. If you are struggling with suicidal thoughts, you need help, please call or text 988. That is a suicide and crisis prevention line. Seek mental health if you need it. Seek counseling, whatever it may be. It doesn't mean you are weak. Your mental health is just as important as your physical health. And I think your mental health is more important than your physical health, because your brain is the motherboard. It tells your body to do everything. It tells your body to breathe. It tells your heart to beat. It tells your blood to pump. It controls your emotions. So if that is not okay, you are not going to be okay. Don't let society, don't let people, don't let stigmatism, don't let your culture tell you that it makes you weak to seek emotional and mental health care. If you try a counselor and you don't like that counselor, treat counseling like a pair of shoes. You keep trying one until you get the right fit. And so you may try one and not like them, and then you got to try another one and not like them, and you keep doing it until you get the right fit. If you're struggling with insurance, trust God. There are solutions out there. So many churches offer counseling. They offer lay counseling at my church. If your insurance doesn't cover it or you don't have insurance, there are a lot of counseling companies out there where you can pay like a flat rate. There's just resources. And if you need resources, you guys can DM me on Instagram or Facebook. I would definitely try to help you find resources. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Crystal Clear Hope. So if you want to send me a private message, that way you can do it, or you can just respond in the comments to this message if you feel comfortable. If you need help finding mental health care, I am here to try and help you. If you have prayer requests, you can put those in the comments, or either you can also DM me and send those to me as well, because I want to pray for you and with you. But whatever you do, take care of yourself. Take care of your mind, body, and spirit. I love you guys. Again, call 988 if you're having suicidal thoughts. You can also send them a text. The world needs you. I am not disappointed in Gavin that he took his life. I hate that he did. But I know that so many lives will be saved because of it. And so his death is not in vain. But if you are struggling, if you're feeling hopeless, if you're feeling helpless, I beg you to get help so that your mother, your children, whoever loves you, does not have to feel what I feel right now. Because my only child is gone and I miss him like crazy. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.